when we were dating and I proposed to him, before I even proposed, and we were just talking about getting married. We talked about getting married a bunch before we actually got married. Although no one and nothing is going to prepare you for the types of struggle and challenge you're going to go through when you get married. There was a time where Hannah and I, trauma breeds trauma. So there were times where the communication completely broke down. And it got so bad that I didn't think this marriage was going to work out anymore. Communication would go from 0 to toxic very quickly. And that's on both fronts. I grew up in a somewhat emotionally toxic home, and I boxed that in for a long time. But when you get married, those things, and Hannah's got things that she boxed in too. We boxed it in, but when you get married, those boxes go away, whether you want them to or not. In fact, it's just easier to accept that the box is going to open, and bit by bit, it's all going to come out. And that's hard. That's what makes marriage difficult. The vulnerability aspect of it can be so intense. It's a shock. It's like a shock to the system, right? Dealing with that in our marriage was, like I was saying, it was breaking down. The marriage was breaking down. And God is the only reason we are sitting here today together. It is a miracle that we overcame the issues we were having. And I'm going to tell you, we have overcome those issues. I'm not sitting to the same woman that I married. Not at all. Hannah is so kind and caring and loving and considerate and slow to react to things that are less than perfect. She's so calculating in a good way, and that's good for me because I'm very emotional and I'm reactive and I need that grounding. I can't have two of me because it would just dissolve into chaos. I'm not putting it all into one direction. I fell apart too. I had a very valuable lesson to learn that God taught me through prayer. And I was there angry and upset and confused, asking God why, but also what do you want from me in this? What is the direction you want me to go? I will do it. Your will be done. And the answer I got from God was to do nothing. And at the time, that was the most frustrating thing. I swear, every other day, every week, I was asking God, am I still here to do nothing? Yes, and I was for months. That was the command I received from God. And the reason is because there was nothing I could do in that situation, in that time, that was going to build the marriage back up. There was nothing that I could do that wouldn't just break it down even further. And God had the work. It was in his hands. The work was being done by him, changing our hearts individually, separate from each other. Anything I was going to do was just going to get in the way. I can say that now looking back because, again, I'm different and Hannah's a lot different than we were when we first got married. This is the strongest relationship I've ever had with anybody in my whole life. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I love you guys. But this turned into one thing that was broken to something that can never be broken ever. And we are so prepared for the future because of that struggle that we overcame. Even in the times where I was angry that God was making me go through something, having me go through something that hurt so much. But looking back, he was doing something that I could never have done. Our marriage wouldn't exist without faith, period.
And as hard as it was, it felt awful.
Oh yeah.
It felt horrible. I've never felt so distraught in my life. And to go through that in your first 5 years of marriage, it's easy to think, okay, I got it. We're just not made for each other.
Yeah.
But God was working, like you said, in both of us, but you had already had such a good foundation, and I was still very early on in my faith journey while we were going through this. But like you said, I am a totally different person than I was 5 years ago, and that is only because I started dabbling a little bit in church, thanks to your leadership of getting me there, your spiritual leadership of getting me into church, and just me taking tiny little baby steps and getting further and further into church. And the natural flow was creating a goal of living a Christ-led life. And living a Christ-led life has none of the characteristics of who I was at the beginning of our marriage. I don't know, it's just not even hard anymore. It's not like I have to fight my old self. My old personality. I don't have to fight that every day with every interaction. It's not even past focused, it's just forward focused on a Christ-led life, and the words that flow out of your mouth when you're on that path is words of life. Yeah. It's easy now. It's easy.
Where I've matured in my faith is in a posture of leadership, and it's just made me a more effective, fearless leader, confident. That's definitely something that takes a certain amount of wisdom and maturity to get to, and without my faith, I don't think I would have ever gotten to this point. And it's really important now, because not just am I married to this beautiful woman, but we're having a beautiful baby boy. So the leadership requirement has just increased from me, and I'm going into this knowing that I've got it. And I know I've got it because I know I'm prayed up. I know Hannah's prayed up, and God is going to be leading this family no matter what we do.
The advice that I have to somebody new to Christianity or curious about it is just take little baby steps. Start dabbling. And if you're presented with an opportunity to advance your relationship with Christ further, go for it. Even if it feels like you're not ready, even if it feels a little scary, say yes to that opportunity and see what happens from there. Because no matter what, you're moving in the right direction.
My advice is give it 6 months. Commit 6 months, just 6 months, not that much time, to going to church, praying, trying out little surrenders here to God, letting Him know that you are opening a window for Him. Commit to 6 months of that, and I can guarantee you that you are going to see God working in your life. You're going to feel God working in your heart, and it's going to blow your mind. Give it 6 months, and I dare you to say that you haven't seen a change, that you haven't felt the presence of Christ over your life.